best move by the Mets.
Well, you mentioned it. I'm going to go with the Peralta move. Now, I'm sure if you look at the values that they assign to all the prospects, it'll look negative to some people based on the fact that Jed Williams is a very good prospect, and so is Sproat. But the Mets absolutely needed to get a number one pitcher. The prices were very, very high in all these trades. I mean, all of them, Shane Baz, all of them. And this guy is the best guy who's been traded. I mean, obviously, he's not schoolable, nobody is, but he is a number one pitcher. I happen to love Freddie Peralta. He'll be great in the clubhouse. He was a guy who actually offered to translate for me in that Milwaukee clubhouse. You know, it's a small market. They don't have an actual translator. They have a coach who does the translating. Coach was busy, not a surprise. And he speaks perfect English, perfect Spanish. I speak okay English, terrible Spanish. And he stepped in and was willing to do it. So it's a terrific guy. He's a number one starter. They absolutely needed to do it. I see the Mets are now ranked number three in some ranking, whatever those are worth. But they needed to do it. And so that's my number one Mets pick.
Yeah, the bets on like BetMGM are tied with the Phillies for the second most over-under projections at 90 and a half. The Dodgers are like 102.5 or 103.5. Everyone's behind them. So whatever they've done, especially late, has at least the betting markets seeing them as a very strong team, though of course they saw them as a strong team last year. John, I'm going to take best seriously here, the best move. I'm not saying it's the most impactful move because I think that will be end up being probably Peralta or Bichette. I think their best move was Luis Robert Jr. And in a way, it was because of all the other moves. And how little they gave up. Look, Acuna will probably Angel Acuna will probably play in the major leagues for quite a while as a utility guy because he could really defend and really run. It's two skills that will help. Maybe he'll hit enough at some point to be a starting second baseman. But that and a pitching lottery guy who they took in the draft last year who hardly pitched is a good trade to me for a guy whose baseline, if he stays healthy, is play terrific defense up the middle. And again, I like it for the other things they've done with Simeon. And then you add Lindor, Alvarez, Torrens. They're really strong up the middle. Robert is a really good defender. A guy who could run and run at a high success rate, a la Carlos Beltran, who just got in the Hall of Fame. This guy steals and steals successfully. He hits lefty pitching, which helps diversify their lineup, and he hits some home runs. Low batting average, high strikeouts. The high strikeouts don't bother me as much because Bichette, Simeon, and Polanco are all guys who don't strike out a lot, added to Lindor and Soto, who don't strike out a lot. I like that. And look, I think there's a real downside. The guy's been injured, he's had a low batting average, and he strikes out a ton. Is this turn out to be a grander, more expensive version of Jose Siri? Maybe, but for what they gave up and what the upside is and how he shoehorns in on the team, I really love that move by the Mets.
Yeah, they did a lot in a week, right? They remade the team in a week. Things looked bad. We were kind of down on the Mets, as were all their fans. Not that this was all done in a week. The groundwork of this was laid a long time ago. Peralta, they started working on during the season. Robert, we know, was at the deadline last year, so that's been many, many months, like 9 months, and and maybe not nine. My math wasn't too good.
Yeah.
7 months, and I think all these moves took a while, and they all came down in a week, and the result of it is very positive for the Mets.
Yeah, why don't we flip to the Yankees, who kind of essentially it was all stay in house, re-sign, plus Ryan Weathers in a trade. What was your favorite thing, John?
Well, I guess it's Bellinger, right? They needed to get it done. They stuck to the 5 years. I mean, I think it's a good deal for Bellinger. He's makes going to make 85 million over the next 2 years, which is actually more than Aaron Judge makes by 5 million if he opts out. I don't know that he's going to opt out when he's 32, though. He's already been a free agent a lot. I think he likes being a Yankee, but I think it was a good deal for him, and I think it was the right deal for the Yankees. They did a nice job with it, and I think it's good that he's back. Judge is happy. If Judge is happy, I think the Yankees are in good shape.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you, John. I wish I could tell you there was one I liked better than that, but I think he's a Swiss Army knife. He plays left, center, right. The fact that he also plays first base at a high level matters because Ben Rice is going to be there in case the defense really does struggle there. You could always move Bellinger late in the game and use somebody else in the outfield. I know the 2 years at 85 up front made some people a little queasy. Not me, John. I like as a WAR player the last 3 years, he's kind of right in between Bichette and Tucker, who both got over 40 million on short-term deals on 3 and 4 year deals. And this is a 2 year deal if he opts out. If it's a 5 year deal, those last 3 years are more in line with what he should probably be paid in that period. The Yankees strike out way too much. He doesn't strike out. The Yankees baseball athleticism and IQ got a little better last year, but that was a lot because of him. It was good they brought him back. John, worst move by the Mets. What didn't you like?
Uh, Losing Diaz, bringing in Devin Williams for Diaz, I don't see that. Diaz was the best closer in their history. I mean, I guess someone can make a case for Doug McGraw, but he was an outstanding closer, maybe the best in the league. And Devin Williams, I'm still worried about because he wasn't a very good closer when he was the Yankee closer.
Yeah, to me, again, John, I wish I could tell you I differ with you. It's the move I didn't like either. I get how volatile relief pitching could be. And by the way, Edwin Diaz was volatile as a Met. There were very, very good years. There were not so good years. And there was obviously an injury, a freak injury, but an injury right in the middle that cost them a season. We know how this could go. But I am always worried about the underlying number argument for a pitcher. That's the Devin Williams argument that the underlying numbers were not that far off from the guy who was dominant in Milwaukee. If anyone should know that player, it's David Stearns. He was the general manager who brought Devin to the majors, and he had great success with the Brewers. It was a sub 2 ERA the last 3 years before the Yankees acquired him. But on the field and in the clubhouse, I'll take Edwin Diaz 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. And with the Mets' money, I wonder if they could have and should have had them both. Flip side, Yankees worst move, John.
Yeah, I think it's giving Grisham the qualifying offer, 22 million, which you reported first was going to be 22 million. I like them could have seen Grisham going somewhere else and them getting the draft choice, and I think that's what some of them envisioned, and it didn't turn out to be correct. So I can't kill him since I thought Grisham might be able to get a 3 for 45 somewhere else, but in retrospect, looking back at it, I think it was going to be hard with that qualifying offer for Grisham to get a 3 for 45, right? So I think it was an error because I don't know that he's necessary. You've got a lot of outfielders on this team, right? You've got Bellinger. I'm still a believer in Dominguez. Obviously, we're a little skeptical after last year. Spencer Jones is coming. I don't think it was necessary. He obviously was pretty good last year. He hit more home runs than any other center fielder in the game. So I can't kill him for it. They're running the whole team back, right? It's the same team. So I think the fans aren't going to be thrilled. Overall, I think they'll be better, right? Because they'll have Cole for the year. They'll have Schlittler for presumably the year, although he's not going to throw 200 innings. They'll have him for more than they had him last year. So I think they're actually going to be better, and I don't mind that they brought the team back. But Grisham at 22 million, that's an overpay.
Again, like a more unbiased view is BetMGM has them with the second highest over/under total in the major leagues behind the Dodgers, so the top one in the American League. Over Seattle, over Toronto, etc. So, yeah. And John, I got to say, Grisham is not my choice here. Like I heard a lot of people, Yankee fans who love to whine about everything, saying, well, they got Grisham, so they won't bring back Bellinger. Well, they did. Like it wasn't like the money kept them from getting Bellinger. I don't think they like the idea of Bellinger playing full time in center. I don't know if they think Spencer Jones is close to ready to do that, play full time in center. So they needed somebody to play center field, and I would quite frankly rather have Trent Grisham for 1 year at 22 million than three at 45. Again, here's another place, the underlying
I
number.
think everybody agreed with you. I don't think
Yeah,
anyone was
yeah,
paying that 3 for 45. I think
right.
you were right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't mind it as a 1 year gamble that he's going to repeat something that looked like last year when he was not only powerful but clutch. He had a ton of big hits, especially homers for them. For me, the downside play, and I almost mean this symbolically as opposed to on the guy, is the Paul Blackburn for 2 million. And here's why. I still think the Yankees are a pitcher short. And you could tell me that's a reliever, you could tell me that's a starter, you could tell me it's a better hybrid than Paul Blackburn. But at a time where, like, the big move this offseason after Grisham, money-wise, was going to be on Bellinger, I feel like you mentioned it, John. If it goes perfectly and Rodon comes back May 1st, Cole June 1st, Clark Schmidt August 1st, and they're close to who they've been, and you get Schlittler and Ryan Weathers and Luis Gill, like, I can make an argument that will be the best rotation in the American League. It still worries me because there's enough flammability there. And I think they're a reliever short, especially a power lefty, which they don't have. Their lefties are Tim Hill and Ryan Yarbrough if they don't need Yarbrough in the rotation. So I'm using Blackburn more as a symbolic. I think they're one pitcher short right now.
Yeah, absolutely. There aren't a ton of relievers left. I think Coulomb is still left, the lefty reliever. Yeah, I'm with you. They could use more help in that bullpen. I don't love either team's bullpen. I like both teams. I think overall they're in very good shape. Some of the Mets are in a lot better shape than we thought they were going to be, but I think they're both a little short in the bullpen. Obviously, the Mets added some bullpen pieces late. Luis Garcia, who you mentioned first, and some others, obviously. They got one in the Milwaukee trade with Peralta, with Myers, who could be a reliever. But I feel like the bullpens are still a question mark for both teams.
Yeah, look, like Harrison Bader signed today, John, as we're doing this, a 2-year deal with San Francisco. Financially, should the Yankees have let Grisham go and be like, let's bring in Bader to be at least like the center fielder for 2 years? I haven't heard the money on it, but let me guess it's going to be like 10 to 12 million in there, I would guess,
Right,
right?
20.5
Oh,
for
okay.
the
So
two
you
years.
actually
Yeah,
know the number. So
right.
it's in that 20 million. Would the Yankees have been better off doing that and then like having a little more money to spend on another pitcher in some way, a reliever, a starter, instead of bringing Grisham back? Again, like they have to make the Grisham decision when I think Bader, etc., was going to be looking for a lot more years and money than two at 20.5. So they had to make that decision. Could Bellinger have held them even more hostage if they didn't have Grisham? So, like things play in a way, but it's just something to think
You
about.
know,
John,
I'm with you. I think Bader, a righty bat, better defensively. Grisham is still okay defensively, but I don't think he was as good last year as he'd been in the past. Obviously, Grisham gives you more power, but Bader played great for the Phillies, and as you know, he's a friend of the show, so that
yes.
always helps as well. But yeah, in retrospect, looking back on it, related to the Grisham, yeah, I would have done Bader instead of Grisham and got
John,
the
let's
pitcher.